Alright, a couple years ago I did a video on how to convert your riding lawn or your lawnmower over to propane, and thought I'd do an update on it. It was like a $5 deal or $20 deal. We took a propane torch, cut the tip off just below the vent air holes that it used for the air fuel mixture, and hose clamped the hose onto it and virtually ran it down and just plugged it in to the carburetor, or ran a tube down to the venturi or the butterfly in the carburetor. And then you just have adjustment for your throttle here. It works fine. As you're mowing, you're constantly playing with the throttle controls here, or the knob on the torch tip. As the idle goes up and down, as you put the motor through a load, it needs more and more fuel. So what I've done here is I wanted to update. In fact, it was a beautiful sunny day today, and I'll show you in a minute. But it's raining so hard outside. There's a stream out in the road. So what I really did today is I had some spare parts that I collected up over the last year or so, and for small propane stuff. This is a regulator off of must be like a one burner barbecue burner, a small barbecue burner. Keep in mind a propane torch turned up full all the way is about twice as much fuel as you need for the engine to run at wide open throttle. So we're going to dial the volume down. We're going to control the volume with the knob on the side of it, and then we're just going to give it a consistent regulation down the line into the carburetor. So what I did is I took a 1/16 aluminum ferrule, and I found that it slides right inside this 1/4 inch clear vinyl hose that I bought at Lowe's. And I'll bring the camera up here and show you in a second. I just want to go over to the distance where you can see the whole unit. But I've got that plugged on. You guys could have put it anywhere in the line, but basically I'm using a 1/4 inch vinyl clear hose, and it's got a 1/16 hole in it with the plug that I put in it. So it's really a 16th inch line. And this regulator, I don't know what the actual regulation numbers are on these, what it's being regulated to, but it works really well to run a 6.5 horse motor and full throttle up on the governor. And then I just jumped off, and I'm just using the standard, if you go back and watch my old video, the old propane torch head, and I just jumped on eBay and bought one out of China for like $1 or something. Not even sure how they could ship it here for that cheap. I'll install the whole thing, and then just put a couple of adapters in here. And you'll see I've got a pair of ice strips on here. Last year I ran out of propane, so I just dumped some gas in it, and I haven't ran that tank out yet. And this was going to be the first mow of the year, and so I just clamped the fuel line off. And as I was setting this all up, I'll probably actually mow the lawn the first time with the fuel and just get it out of the system. I could put a fuel line clamp on it, but you might as well just burn the fuel up and get it out of the carburetor. And right now, with it clamped off, I have burned it up in the carburetor, so it can't be gumming up. And this mower spent 50% of its life on propane anyhow. I'm going to fire it up, show you some regulation. I don't know what you can see here with my hands. I'm going to show you some regulation on how much control you have once you put the pressure regulator on. This now, besides this used to be the throttle that you'd have on an old lawnmower, was basically turning the knob. Now I can virtually just turn it up, and it runs just fine. So now I've taken this from probably like, I probably still only have, I think I only have like $5 into this, or $10 into this regulator. Probably buy a brand new one in the parts department at Lowe's or Home Depot for 10 or 15 bucks, I'm guessing. So let's just call it less than $30 to convert it to propane. And then I use a 5-gallon tank to refill these, and that keeps the price on those super cheap. Right now here where I live, gas is almost $3.50 a gallon, and I'm buying propane for about $1.50 a gallon or so. So it's really inexpensive on fuel. I guess that would be the point I was trying to make on that. And then it's clean. You have to change the oil on your lawnmower, which is really nice. What I'm going to do is, to start the lawnmower up, I need to move it away from the wall there. So I'm going to just push it forward here. And probably put it right there in that view. And I'll flip the lens around here so I can see it from the other side. First off, you can hear the mower run. So we'll start with, make sure my hand is in here. Dun, 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 dun. So I'm going to fire this up. You won't hear me talk, but you'll be able to see the knob get turned. I'm going to crack it open. Gotta wait a second for the fuel to go down. And now to shut the engine off, you're using this to turn the fuel off, much like a diesel system now. And then you saw what I did with this. I was able to fire it up, and so you don't flood it, because you can flood it with propane just like gas. You're just cracking the fuel open, just enough to get it to sputter and fire up, and then you can immediately turn it wide open. And the fuel pressure regulator takes over. The governor on the engine sees that extra fuel, and it comes up and sets the RPM at the right spot. So you still are fully governed and whatnot. And then I have this tied off on the safety handle, but when I undo the, let me pop the camera up here. So I still have I have the safety handle tied off right here for this demonstration. When you take that off, that actually grounds the spark plug, so all the safety stuff's still in effect. What was I going to show you? I was going to turn it the other way. Don't mind the shop a little bit. I should have swept and cleaned up before I did this, but hadn't planned on doing it. But the rain, I kind of got bored. So what we're going to do here is I'm just going to zoom in on this camera because it's got a great zoom and show you what I've done. So this is a California emissions lawnmower, which probably just about everybody has now. And if you take a look here, I'm just going to use my finger as a pointer as soon as I can find it on the screen. Dun, 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 there we go. Right there. That is the vent to the crankcase where you see my clear vinyl tube. I've just unplugged the crankcase vent and rerouted it, so it's technically venting into the atmosphere, and we're all going to die from it because of global greenhouse. But I'm plugged in there. You can also take, if you want, on the end of your air cleaner housing here. I'm going to pick up the camera and come around to the back side so you can see it. Let's take a peek here. I gotta find the back of that air cleaner. There we go, and I'll back out a smidge. So on the back of the air cleaner housing, you could actually take a piece of a drill bit and drill a hole in it and run it right through it. And it's just simple, just drill a hole through it and right into the air cleaner and pass this clear hose all the way up to the Venturi, the butterfly on the carburetor, and just right up to where it doesn't touch it. It'll be back maybe 3/8 of an inch, and that's all you need, because you're just feeding the fuel in with vapor instead of gas. And you're not using the jets in the carburetor anymore. So you just get it right in front of the flapper, and the governor sees how much fuel you're delivering, and we'll just set the RPM to whatever amount of fuel you have. Yeah, so it's virtually self-regulating. And then you could leave that hooked up if you wanted. But the reason I say that is if you don't have a vent on, that's so easy to hook up. I mean, I literally just unplugged the hose and move the hose into the side of the air cleaner so it sucked it in that way instead of right there. And kind of like if you have a Geo and the vent off the valve cover always leaves a nasty spot on the air cleaner. But the same thing now, because I've went back and shoved it in to the air cleaner for the crankcase vent, because I was trying to stay within the emissions, keep it clean. Inside the hose right here, I'm going to zoom in. That is a 16th inch aluminum ferrule that you would use to crush onto a 16th inch galvanizer stainless cable for a stop. So it's a ferrule stop, and it just happens to fit right inside that 1/4 inch vinyl tube perfectly. So that takes my 1/4 inch vinyl tube down to 16th inch and gives me the perfect fuel regulation. Without it, I should say without it, excuse me, I just wanted to make sure I had the fuel turned off on the mower, but I forgot that's how you shut it off, so it has to be turned off. Anyhow, so the ferrule does this, just trying to find my finger right here so I can use it as a pointer. Probably better off to use maybe a screwdriver off the wall here. No, the camera doesn't really like that. Alright, I'll quit messing around with that. At any rate, then as we come up the unit, and then obviously the vice grips, I've just got the fuel line clamped off so the carb doesn't have any fuel in it. And this is just the smallest, cheapest barbecue regulator that I could put my hands on, and it works just fine. And then obviously we go over to that propane tank, and I've just bought a copper propane torch, or brass propane torch, and I've just went down below the holes that they drill in it to give it the air fuel mixture and cut it off, and then shove the hose onto it. We'll walk around and take a look at that too. And you could see this, I think, in my old video too. I should have watched that video before I did this. But I just cut it off, slid the hose over it, and you know what I found that works really well, because I didn't want to run over to the hardware store. I have this drift punch that I use. It's tapered. It's a pretty good sized drift punch. I mean, let me back out so you can see it. Anyhow, I just took my propane torch and I just warmed it up, and if the vinyl doesn't quite fit over your fittings, you can just shove it down here, and as this tapers up, just a little bit of warmth and it expands, and it makes that vinyl hose fit everything. It's a super cheap way of not having to buy $2 or $3 in fittings, which I was just too lazy to drive to the hardware store for. But that worked really slick. Yeah, that's all it takes to convert over to propane. If you want to convert to propane, buying a propane lawnmower is really expensive. There's no reason for it at all. I could adapt all this stuff down and make it screw right onto the end of the carburetor in a piece of cake. If you were to take that unit somehow and machine a piece to thread onto here, you could thread that directly onto that, and then on the other end of that, you could make a piece that threaded into the back of the air cleaner. You'd be done, and you'd be able to screw tanks on and off. You can also run an adapter on here. A lot of people do, and I don't, because I got a lot of propane around because my cars run on propane. But they'll take and make a mount over the top of the engine, come up off of it. I didn't want to make it, this one looks so jerry-rigged, but I really like the idea. And they mount a 5-gallon propane tank right on the top of the engine off of a stand that's bolted on there, and it gives you if you have a big lawn to mow, it gives you a lot of range. I don't have a very big lawn to mow, and if I need to go mow anything on the farm, I just take the Kubota. I think that's pretty much it. So get yourself a tank, get yourself a 5-gallon tank. Jump on eBay, and for $6 or $7 you can buy the adapter fitting to refill these. Get one of those out of China, or whoever's got the cheapest used one. Get yourself some hose. I just used clear because I wasn't sure. You can see how these are dirty just because this thing's been sitting. But the tube does technically stay clear. I thought it was going to brown or something. But we're a couple years into using it, and it's completely clear, so the vapor doesn't stain anything. And I used clear because I just wanted to see what was running through there. I actually thought initially that this thing might spit liquid out of it, and when you spit the liquid up and then it evaporates really fast, it's actually like dumping a whole bunch of fuel in at one time. Turns out that it was a little bit of an issue when I was just running this, and I've mowed the lawn 50 times that way, but now I can just fire it up and it sits on the governor. And the only thing I haven't checked because it's raining out today is how it does like in a little bit of deep grass or something. But I have a feeling since I can almost make it run rough with too much fuel with the knob turned all the way open, that if you got into a little tall grass you might be able to just give it a little tiny bit more fuel volume, but obviously the same pressure. And I might even be able to adjust it by taking that 16th inch plug out if it's an issue and making it just a smidge, I mean just a tiny bit bigger. But I think for just mowing the lawn here that's short at the house, it'll work beautifully. But yeah, if it's a quick project you can do in your garage really fast, you can probably do it cleaner than me. I just took a coat hanger and bent it on here so I can pop this on and off. Make sure you can, I just flip my camera screen around here so I can see. But I just took a coat hanger and bent it so it goes underneath here to hang it, just to keep it level. And then I just bent it to go over the handle right there. You can put it wherever you want. You just, if you're mowing and it splashed up like that, technically you could throw liquid in there, because you just want the, there's nothing that stops the liquid from coming out. If you take this tank and turn it upside down, liquid will come out. We just want the vapor. And so you can you don't even have to mount this stuff up here. You can mount it down there if you want. I just found that it's easy to have this hang here. And the one thing that you do need though is you need the control valve up here. So if you use so if you were to cut this off and put an inline fuel valve, on-off valve, you could mount it all down there and run it up here. I'd actually thought at one point that if you were to take and mount the tank to the engine and let the exhaust kind of blow on it, or maybe the fan on the, I don't know if the fan blows out or sucks air in, but if you mounted it where the engine fan was blowing heat across it, it would give you more pressure, and because it's trying to evaporate faster, and that would help adjust, like if you had just a more volume. Again, this all works for this setup. When I was brainstorming and collecting parts, my thought was that would work well, and I actually had thought that the guys were putting the 5-gallon tanks over there to try to keep them warm. Because what I found is when I was mowing before and I just had this valve here, the tank is freezing, and as it's freezing, the pressure's dropping, and then if you stop, especially on a hot day, you could see the tank warm back up, because as the pressure dropped, I'd have to open the valve up. So I knew that the pressure was dropping. Then I'd open the valve up, and then the tank would start to warm back up, and then I'd have to restrict it back down, which creates a small Venturi effect in there. And when you clamp if you're doing air conditioning, if you squeeze a line down and shoot a propellant through it, it freezes. So you open it up, there's no cold being made in the AC unit. You pinch it down, and that Venturi effect makes it frozen. So my point is the pressure went way up and down on this, and now basically what I've done is with a pressure regulator, I'm able just to crank it wide open, and now when I'm mowing, I don't have the throttle moving up and down, and and that's pretty much it. Lots and lots of fun, and I love projects that you can do in an hour or so, and you get all the parts put together. Have fun doing it if that's what you're going to do. Oh, you could also do this to a riding lawnmower if you wanted. I imagine. Oh, you can even put 2 of those regulators together. I imagine you just. Oh, you know what would be excellent if you're doing a riding lawnmower is get the adjustable pressure regulator, and then it's got the valve on it to turn it up and down for a turkey cooker, because they burn way more fuel than your lawnmower. So if you got like an 18-horse rider or something, you could just dial that valve in that you turn the flame up on the turkey cooker, and then you'd have the pressure regulator to run it. At any rate, have fun with it. I did. I had a ton of fun. And if it ever gets sunny again, I'm gonna go out and mow.